News at 11.
I didn't care if he went to jail. I didn't care if he got in trouble. I just didn't want him around young girls.
A former student of the school administrator and coach facing allegations of inappropriate contact with former students is speaking out.
Monday night, Dave Davis resigned as assistant principal and athletic director at Goodrich area schools amid accusations he groomed and solicited students for nude photos.
In a TV5 investigation, we dug into Davis's past and found that Goodrich isn't the only local district where he's been investigated for inappropriate behavior.
And all new tonight, I talk with one of those former students who's sharing her story in an exclusive interview.
I was a really, really good kid.
Sagan Isham was a parent's dream.
I was president of the garden club. I played varsity sports. I was in National Honor Society.
But now she refuses to set foot inside the high school that once gave her a diploma.
And this tarnished everything for me.
She says that's because of Dave Davis. Davis was a coach of several sports and secretary in the Atherton School District for much of the 2000s, and he was Sagan's coach for several years.
My dad was friends with him. I played sports year-round in school, and he was my basketball coach.
She says an incident her senior year in 2006 involving Coach Davis compelled her to come forward 2 years later and ignited an investigation into Davis's actions. In a 2008 letter obtained by TV5 through a Freedom of Information Act request, Atherton's superintendent detailed for the school board what his investigation found. The letter states a 17-year-old senior at Atherton told school officials about a Pistons basketball game Davis invited her to. The girl stated Davis gave her alcohol at his house and then they left for the game. Sagan says that 17-year-old girl was her.
I remember he made a couple comments to me about being able to see my underwear, or tried to put his arm around my chair at the game, and I just kind of got uncomfortable and shrug it off and move away.
But the uncomfortable feeling she says she shrugged off during the game escalated when they returned to Davis's home.
He put his hand on my shoulder while I had my back turned and kind of moved my bra strap and jersey down, because I was wearing a basketball jersey, and kind of turned around and pulled out his wallet and put money on the table and said, "How much?"
Those details consistent with the information given to school investigators in 2008. Sagan says she panicked and got out of there and went to a friend's house.
I was being so embarrassed and ashamed, and also not sure what to do. This man was friends with my father. I had to see him the next day at school.
It took Sagan 2 years to find the strength to tell her dad.
I told him, and he was shocked, and he kind of just looked at me. He's like, I can't not tell anybody about this. I have to go forward with this. I said, "Dad, do what you have to do."
When confronted by school officials with the allegations, Davis admitted to taking her to the game, but denied ever supplying alcohol, touching her, or propositioning her with money. But the superintendent recommended the Board of Education terminate Davis, and Davis resigned a week later.
Nobody prepares young girls for this sort of thing and how to handle it. Schools don't teach girls to prioritize feeling safe over being nice, and that's a problem.
A problem that surfaced at another school. An investigation at Goodrich area schools obtained by TV5 claims Dave Davis used his position as the assistant principal and athletic director to identify and groom students who he would later approach, offering to purchase naked selfie photographs of these students. Sagan believes this all could have been prevented.
It breaks my heart for those girls. It makes me really angry that the school that I went to and spent so much time at allowed him to leave without a trace and allowed him to go to the next school.
And just like Atherton, the interim superintendent at Goodrich recommended the board terminate Davis, to which Davis also resigned before that decision could be made.
It's another slap on the wrist. How many times can you slap this person on the wrist for doing the same thing to young girls?
We've reached out to Davis and his attorney, who would only say Davis resigned from Goodrich for personal reasons. On TV5 News at 5 and 6, we detailed some of the findings from the Goodrich School investigation into Davis's actions that TV5 obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request. Now, that school investigation found Davis used his position to groom girls while they were students at Goodrich so that after they graduated, he could solicit nude photos. The investigation found he sometimes offered money for the photos, even giving at least one former student a price chart. It also found Davis went to the apartment of a former student at MSU, supplied them with alcohol despite them being underage, and showed them nude photos of other former Goodrich students who he, quote, takes care of. The Attorney General's office has assigned a prosecutor to look at this case. You can see the documentation we obtained in its entirety by going to the TV5 homepage.